event today, but also for hosting our event in Amsterdam in September. It was really a great opportunity for exchange, for learning, I think, for all of us that participated, both the Dutch side and the Serbian side, but also others that were there, people from Belgium, for instance. During that event, we had this amazing and very interesting presentation about visualization and trends current trends in Europe. And because this is a completely new audience, we asked you to more or less give a similar presentation this time, because I really think that the audiences here in Serbia would appreciate to hear your findings, particularly because the Netherlands is one of the countries with, I think, if not the #1 country in the numbers of museums per capita, or so you do have a quite significant group of experience and knowledge about museums and memorializations, but also you're following it, of course, on a more international level. So I would like to ask you to join us here and tell us also about your role in the project as you saw it, and about this topic. Thank you so much.
Pitam da li treba neko prevođenje. Možete pratiti, ako šta treba, onda...
Welcome everybody. Thank you very much, Visco, not just for introducing me, but also for inviting me here at in Novi Sad. Thank you also the local archive for hosting and organizing this day. Yes, I'm not just very pleased to be a partner of this project. I'm also proud to be a partner of this project, and in that sense, I think it's a special day. It's the end of the whole series of conferences and of the project, and we will discuss it later on in the panel discussion. But I can say already now that you can be proud of the success of this whole project. And indeed, the previous presentation was mainly based on the political, social, and socio-cultural impact of how we are dealing with the history of the Holocaust. In my presentation, I will mainly focus on how we are going to represent the story of the Holocaust, the stories of the Holocaust, of course, and in museums, but also on memorial sites. And I did this presentation as this was in one or another way, in a similar way in Amsterdam. And the reason of that was especially that my presentation is hopefully a contribution to plans that are developing in making a memorial site and a museum and a commemoration site in Samić. And so that's the main reason why I pay attention to this subject. I will focus on three issues. I'll make a few remarks on the culture of memory, and secondly, I want to point out some of the topics of how to present the history of the Holocaust in museums in these days, and the changing of these representations. And finally, if I still have some time, I will go into a kind of example and the main concentration camp in the Netherlands, the Jewish transit camp in the north of the Netherlands, as Camp Westerbork, to show this kind of, as an example. As I say, more than 70 years after the Second World War, there continues to be strong interest in the history of World War II and the Holocaust in particular, and its representations on memorial places and in museums. And we see this development in the Netherlands, but also in several other European countries. And the expectation is that for the time being, the story of the Holocaust will continue to speak powerfully to the imagination. And significant elements herein are that in a fluid and multiform culture of memory, this historical episode has remained above all a moral reference point, and that the so-called post-memory generation keeps the memory alive. But the musification or musealization of the Holocaust faces a turning point. The memorial places and memorial museums have to familiarize themselves with new approaches. Since, let's say, the change of the millennium, the generation that lived through the war decreases rapidly. And one of the consequences is that the memories of the years of the Second World War and the Holocaust is more and more transferred in another, more indirect way. The bond with the public is no longer as self-evident as it was. New target groups have no direct relationship with memories of the war, and for them, this period is truly past. Not the individual memory, but the social memory is leading. New presentations will be based on new concepts in which authenticity, emotion, reconstruction, experience, visualization, staging and representation will be vitally important. In short, museums will have to reinvent themselves in terms of both content and design. And the changing representations museums have to do with the culture of memory, which is the results of social and cultural processes, or based on the theories of the German cultural scientist Aleida Assmann, the interaction between individual and collective memories. The individual memory is bound to the individuals who personally experience the period in questions, and these eyewitnesses have strong, direct personal memories of the period. This generation handed down its memories to the second and third generation. Inevitably, we are in a while at crossroads. The first generation is disappearing. A living past is now literally become history. And the other dimension is the social memory. And the social memory is the domain of the post-war second and third generation. Although these individuals did not go through the war, they are strongly connected to the history of the first generation. For them, the memory of the war is a significant identity-forming element. To a large extent, the consequences of the war were immediately visible in their personal environment. They heard stories from their parents and grandparents. They grew up with them. They were taught to the history of the World War II and the Holocaust at school and joint commemorations. There has been an enormous production of cultural memories. Think of expressions over years in literature, film, musical, monuments, websites, academic research, online games, museums, exhibitions, etc. And of course it differs per country, and it's mainly also based on the experience we have here in the Netherlands. And that means that the social memory of the war has become deeply rooted in both the second and third generations in the meantime.